the true function of a human body is movement. It's to move. Just to start things off, I know everyone, the question on everyone's mind is, what is General Njiniyela? Or who is General Njiniyela, and what does he represent? General Njiniyela is my role model. General Njiniyela is someone that I look up to, someone that inspires me. Is somebody that I wish I could be in every moment or every day of my life, because he represents positivity. He represents self-care. He is the ambassador for primary health care. General Njiniyela is a role model that's here to inspire me and also help me inspire other people. And just to add to that, General Njiniyela is not just a male figure. It's more of a spiritual being rather than a physical being. Obviously, with him, I say him because to me it's a guy, and to whomever else out there, if you're female, I believe we've all got a character that's similar to General Njiniyela within ourselves, and it's up to us to bring him to life, or let that character or let that spirit influence us and motivate us in wanting to become more than what we may be at the current point, and basically just owning ourselves. If we look at a human's body in a more simpler form or more simpler structure, or simplified way, we can piece it apart, or take it apart, or bring it together in the different components that majorly make up the human's body. You will note that there's different systems that come to play in making up a human body. For instance, if you look at there's the anatomy side, where you're looking at the structure itself, obviously through different muscles, different organs, different tissues, or, or different substances that make up the body. And then there's a mental side of it, which we cannot see or touch, but we can feel it, because that's how we know it's there. Obviously, the mental side will come with your emotional side, which is also dependent on the environment that we're in, and then you'll also get the physiology side. That's the different systems internally within the human body that function in a cohesive system in order to maintain the body's livelihood, if I can put it that way. So all these things, they're reliant on motion. All these components, they're affected by movement of the human body as a whole. The one thing that you cannot take away from a living human being is a desire to move.
Hi everybody, my name is Njiniyela and I have an organic garden that I am growing from my backyard. My interest in growing organic foods started a long time ago. I would say that I was born into this kind of lifestyle because I grew up with an organic garden, which my parents used to work in together. Foods are now GMO, which are like genetically modified, and stay away from eating foods that are genetically modified because some of them actually cannot be fully digested in the system. I decided to start growing my own foods, which was a healthier option for me, a healthier and also cheaper option for me. Because you also find that organic foods are very expensive, and then people will end up opting to buy these GMOs, which are not at all healthy products for us to consume. I have a tiny garden, but I'm growing our everyday supplies, our everyday ingredients that we use to cook with at home. It's peppers. I have a number of herbs. I have garlic chives, coriander, parsley, and I think fennel. And I'm also growing tomatoes, brinjal, peas, spinach, 2 types of cabbages, the red leaf cabbage and the normal cabbage, chili peppers of course, and broccoli and cauliflower. I chose these ingredients solely for the fact of because we cook with onions every single day. So growing a batch means I'm cutting out the cost of buying onions, and I'm also at ease with knowing that I'm growing my own ingredients from my own backyard. I don't have to worry about what products were used to speed up the growth process. I know that everything took its natural course to end up being that vegetable or fruit.
The weather quite warm tonight. Thinking about taking a break. My feet on the dashboard, near so intense nights. Bob your head.
Okay, I think that everybody should be growing their own vegetables and probably their own chickens as well, because producing for the masses, a lot of things have to be compromised in order to meet production deadlines, and that means that the foods that you're gonna end up getting are gonna be very compromised.
Just vibe to it, 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 just vibe to it. Revising on my day when
I also feel like working on a garden has taught me a lot of things about life in general. It's, the growth process. You don't plant something today and it grows tomorrow. It's a waiting process which exercises patience, because you learn you have to be patient for a lot of things. They say that good things come to those who wait, and by the end of that waiting process, after growing your seeds, the results are just amazing, because it's for the well-being of yourself and the well-being of your entire family, and you're also teaching the next generation that this is the way of life.
General Njiniyela is an inspiration to me, and whenever he's around, or when I feel he's within my reach, he basically also needs some inspiration, and his inspiration is simple. It comes from people because of how much belief I have in people. Obviously, because of the bodies that we have been blessed with by our Creator, that has allowed us to come to life. So General Njiniyela is inspired by people that have a huge interest in knowing and understanding how the body functions on a basic plane, and not just where we tend to pay attention to our bodies because now we're facing certain challenges and we want to correct those. But you have to be somebody that's keen, that has an interest in first obtaining and maintaining the best basic state or nature of the body, even before you get to a point where you have a problem or you have a challenge. So General Njiniyela is inspired by such individuals, and I've been blessed that ever since I started training with the public, just inviting people to come train with me, the one thing that I've noticed is that I've been blessed with meeting people that might share the same interest and same view and understanding of what it means to take care of yourself and really prioritize yourself and put yourself first in all instances, by ensuring that your body is in its best physical state internally all the way out to the external, if possible.
Hi, my name is Njiniyela. I am 27 years old. I am from Glenwood and I work as a quality analyst. I started training with the General in March this year. Before that, I had been going to another gym for about 2 years. Before I started training with the General, I used to have problems with breathing. I wasn't able to pick up my body, and in my head I had already thought that I could gym just because of the gym equipment that I was using at the time. I'd like to believe that I was overweight when I met up with the General, and I was about to go for liposuction because I felt like I couldn't lose any weight or tone my body for that matter. I felt as though because maybe I've had a child before, then my body would be like that for the longest time. And because I go to the gym and I do so much at the gym, I was not driven enough, I was not motivated enough, so I just do whatever it is that I'm doing at the time and cancel if I see that it's not working. So in the end, I was just like, let me just go for the easiest that I can go for. I would say the first thing, like before everything else, it's the drive. There has to be that drive. Because when I started training the General, I just wanted to do it because I wanted to lose weight. I just wanted to look a certain way. It was not about the lifestyle. In my head, I even told myself that I'd probably stop once I achieved what I had wanted to achieve. But having trained with the people that I'm training with now, I know that it's a lifestyle. It's not just about how you look today. It's about living longer and taking care of your body for the rest of your life. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me I got a condition called IBS that had no cure as such. So I had to stop training or not train so much, not train so regularly. But I noticed that as soon as the treadmill was inclined, that's when the problem would start. But right now, I am running up Gladys Mazibuko Road. It's a very steep road, and I manage just fine. I haven't had those pain in the longest time. I can pick up my body. It's very good for your body. There's no better feeling than knowing that you can pick up your own body and you can control your own body. And so I'd advise for people that are really, really, really struggling to not look at that guy, the General, and think, oh, but he's too fit, I wouldn't ever be able to train with him. If you can, wherever you are, and he's right there, just join.
How did General Njiniyela come to life?
I was faced with there was a time in my life where I went through a difficult phase where I lost key family members. If I can put it like that. They were key family members to me because of the roles that they played in my life in terms of me just coming to this earth or this planet and actually growing up to being the person that I am. Those people played a huge role in terms of ensuring that I learned good values and also just to understand myself as a person, as to who I am. So when I lost these people, and those people being my grandmother, grandfather, and my mother, and this whole thing happened within a period of 5 years, and I think through that 5 years, I lived a life that I'm not happy about. or I was not happy about at that point, even though I was living that kind of life. So these losses, they sort of created cracks within the system that I had back then, where I was sheltered and protected by the presence of these great people in my life. And when there were no more, I realized that I was alone, and depression was creeping up on me. And it was hard to deal with this because I had not experienced such losses in my life until I was 21. That's when I first lost my grandmother. So I was shattered, I was devastated. But obviously I still had my mother and my grandfather then. So, and alternatively, I still had that kind of protection. So, and then my grandfather passed away, things just got worse, the family situation wasn't so good anymore, even amongst my mother and her siblings, and obviously it was just getting out of control. So just dealing with these challenges without these two key role players in my life, and having my mother, who on her own was also devastated. Obviously she had lost her parents, and she was also not ready for that. So by the time my mother passed away, I felt completely stripped. Like there was nowhere to go. Like it was just me and this cold, harsh wind from life that was blowing at my back, and I had no protection, no cover whatsoever. So I needed to bounce back. I needed to prevent myself from falling into a deep hole, which was very dark, emotionally, mentally, and just socially. I wasn't ready. So I had to find myself and find who I am, what I want, and the only thing that I knew best at that time, that I knew for sure I could do this on my own. Doesn't matter where, how, with who. I just knew I could do this better than anything in life. It was training, and I had to revert back to my early days of training, where I only relied on my body. So I got into bodyweight training, and I still remember I used to have this vision of myself that I was this great warrior. And then obviously growing up, I've always had desires to be in the army. This is coming from watching too many Rambo movies. So I saw myself as a general of this army. And in this case, I thought to myself, let me be a general to whomever could be in a similar situation as I was, where they were facing depression, they'd gone through a period of major loss, or you find yourself in a position where you don't know who you are. I'm going to be the general for that army, an army of people who come from a point of not making any wins on their own, to getting to a point where they are literally writing down their own history by obviously applying different strategies and obviously going beyond the point that they imagine they would never go to. So basically, it's an army of underdogs. Not just underdogs because of societal values, but I thought I was an underdog mentally and emotionally, and just myself as a person. As a person that's living on this earth, I was just an underdog, and I needed great inspiration to push myself to a point where I can overcome, and I can say I'm the best. I'm the best compared to my then self. I'm not the best compared to the next person, because this is not about the next person, it's about myself. That's the most important thing. It's about myself. And whatever I do from this point on, it's to better myself so that anyone around me may enjoy those benefits of me bettering myself and obviously improving myself through me sharing the information that I found and the information that I've discovered through doing what I decided to do, what I decided to change in my life. So basically, Njiniyela comes from that.
Hi guys, I'm Lolly. I'm a wife and a mom to a 1-year-old baby girl. By profession, I'm a doctor, a specialist anesthetist. My passion is fitness, healthy lifestyle, and basically keeping healthy, not only physically, but mentally, and taking care of your body, mind, and spirit. My fitness page is @FitMomStruggles on Instagram. Fitness, when I think about training and fitness, I also think about health. So basically, according to the World Health Organization, health is not just the absence of disease, but it's a state where you are mentally, physically as well. Basically, a holistic approach to health and fitness. So the benefits of fitness for me are firstly psychologically. It is a very good antidepressant. It's very good for combating stress. It also allows you to be active, so which means it prolongs your life, your health, and your heart, combats diseases. So those things I think are very beneficial, not only for myself, but also for my child, because then I get to teach them from an early age how to be healthy. And at the same time, I also get to live a long and healthy life with her. There is a lot of information in the fitness industry and in the current social and the fitness industry as it is now. And a lot of it is misinformation. So for me, it's very important that we try and go back to basics before all these modern medicines and shakes and drugs were available for people. I want us to go back to being healthy, taking care of ourselves the natural way. So that includes what we put into our bodies in terms of eating, and also just moving, keeping active, those two things can combat a lot of diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, just by focusing on the basics of what you put into your body. So I think we have to focus firstly on the definition of health. And as I try to explain, according to the World Health Organization, it's not the absence of disease, but merely a holistic way of looking at an individual's, firstly, body physically, mentally, and also just their emotional and psychological well-being. So when we focus on primary health talks about the primary stages, the early stages of health, so the basics of health. So individuals, when we consider them, their health, we don't want to get them at the stage where they already have a disease. That is not health. We have to consider them while they still think they are healthy. So when you are healthy, in primary health care, the focus is on prevention. We need to prevent you getting into a stage where you have these diseases and you need daily medication. And how we do that, we start by, because most medical conditions, the diet and physical activity are the first part of prevention, even of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is one of the leading causes of death and comorbidities at this time and age. Start by prevention. If we could watch what we are eating, focus on eating our fruits and vegetables instead of processed unhealthy food. And simple things like being active, running, walking, taking care of our health. We wouldn't need to go to the doctor to be sick. You can't pour from an empty cup. So my first advice to moms and to women in general is that first, put yourself first. It's the decision that to take care of yourself, because we spend a lot of time taking care of everybody else instead of ourselves. If you make time for yourself, then you can prioritize your health. Health has become the most expensive entity at this day and age. Put your health first, watch what you put into your body, prioritize yourself, and in that process, we will build a future where we do not have to have diseases.
Ever since I've been on this journey of growing General Njiniyela, the character of General Njiniyela, and the beliefs and meaning of General Njiniyela, there's been some challenges, and if I can mention a few, it's just the negativity or negative energy from people around me. Because whenever you are in a society, when you're living in a society, obviously society has certain expectations of every individual, and in so doing, that exposes you to people having opinions on the things that you do or whatever you want to do. So people will have something to say. Fortunately for me, those were negative comments. Whatever comments that were there, they were negative, and I understood that if I let these comments get to me, or if I allow these comments to derail me, or if I allow myself to even pay attention to these comments, I'd only be slowing down myself. I'll be slowing down my progress to greater heights or greater lengths for myself personally, because these people don't understand where I come from. These people that are having these negative opinions don't even know why I'm doing this, and where do I come from? What did I see? What inspired me? They don't know that. And obviously, being at a point where I can get people to talk about something that I'm doing, it means I'm doing something different. Because if people can get to a point where when you start doing something, nobody's saying anything. Everyone's like, oh, okay, no, we'll be quiet, we're just looking and we're watching. And you get to a point where they start talking, and you've been doing something for a long time, it means you are doing something different. So to me, it was the same thing. I knew the more that they talk, the closer I'm getting to where I want to get. Not physically or socially, but internally, where it comes from initially. Because I wanted to start something that I can own, something that I can use to build myself. And eventually it got to a point where all those negative comments, they suddenly turned into compliments. And at that point, when these negative comments are now compliments, then I know that my decision to stick to what I was doing, even though there were negative comments, was a good decision. And that tells me I should trust myself more.
Igama Nhlanhla Okhoza. I'm from Caversham, Pinetown. I work in IT as a software developer. If I'm not mistaken, I'll say we started training. I started training with General Njiniyela in May, mid-May or something like that. I was able to to lose all that unnecessary weight of about 8 kgs, and now I'm in the process of building muscle and like building healthy weight, not the fat that I used to have, of which I was not enjoying. Even though I was going to the gym, but all I was seeing, I was getting thick, not lean muscle. But now I think I can build lean muscle from this. What really stands out from my current method that I've adopted of training with General is I'm doing a lot of cardio, of which before it's something that I wasn't even considering, because I regarded myself as a person who cannot run, but now I know I can run, and I can't stop. That's another part, and I'm enjoying it. I must say, when it comes to eating well, good food, it's something that it's new to me, and it's not easy at this point in time, but I'm working towards it, and it's a journey. Change your lifestyle. You just have to make time for this, and once you've started, you must stick to it, be consistent, and have a goal. Know what you want to achieve so that you work towards it. because without a goal, I mean, it can easily fall along the way. You just have to remember to prioritize yourself.
I grew up in the Makai, in the rural areas, in the Sengudulwan. I grew up living with my grandmother. Well, my grandmother and my uncles. And obviously on weekends, my grandfather would come back from work, so he'd also be there, and my mom would be back from work too, and she'd be there. But during the week, it was just me, my grandmother, and my uncles, two uncles, younger uncles. In terms of family environment, I've never seen any squabbles, or there was no abuse. But obviously, in the community, I grew up in the times where there was still like political struggles and stuff like that. So those were the only negatives that it would have. Well, from my point of view, and because even in terms of food, like at home, we used to farm at home. We had cattle, we had goats, chicken. Obviously, my grandmother had a garden in the yard, and yeah, so we basically all the food that we ate, it was produced within at home. It was produced at home. So we never really relied too much on basically buying groceries and worrying about such stuff. Even though my grandfather and my mother were working, they would just buy those few things here and there. So I basically had an ordinary upbringing growing up as a kid. My grandmother used to boil most of the food that we ate. So health-wise, you could say we were on par, and it wasn't that bad.
Hi, my name is Lungi Dentlanhla, also known as Ulungi, and I am a chef by profession, and I also do a lot of food media, which involves recipe development, food writing, editorial work, food styling. So my life has basically revolving around food and creating meals for people and great food memories and experiences. I am currently studying at the Durban University of Technology.
I hope I don't die with more regrets than my promises, yeah. I'm in tune with my phone.
The reason why I decided to go and study food and nutrition was because I was on my own health journey. I have a passion for health and wellness, not just physical health and wellness, but mental, emotional, and creating a balance. And I wanted to create a balance in my own life. I have always, I wouldn't say struggled, I can say I've always struggled or had ups and downs when it comes to my weight.
At the same time, but oh, you please me, and I just wanna let you know I love myself, and I just wanna let you know I love you too, and I just wanna let you know that you can breathe, babe, and you can breathe, yeah. And my body is a temple, yeah.
So I wanted then to have a better understanding and more knowledge on the food side of things, because I'm not one for exercising and being fit and doing all of that. So I wanted to have a better understanding of something that I was really passionate about, and how then to incorporate the two worlds of good eating, nutrition, into something that I love to do, which is cooking and, creating fun meals. And now I can now create healthy meals. And in order to do that, I didn't want to do a short course or do a quick thing about it, but I wanted to create something valid when it comes to food science and nutrition, and also be able to have the qualification and knowledge to guide and advise other people as well when it comes to their own health journey and nutrition as well. So for me, health and wellness is not just about eating well. It's not just about waking up and exercising, but it's a balance between your mind, body, spirit, emotion. And when I started looking deeper into nutrition, I then learned that nutrition is basically providing your body with a significant amount of nutrients, the correct foods, in order for your body to be operating at its optimum level. And optimum level not only physically, but mentally as well. And you also find that there are a lot of people that are fit and look physically well, but they are lacking a lot of main nutrients in the body. And that's when you started understanding and have a better understanding that malnutrition does not look like a scrawled child that is dying somewhere in the middle of Africa. It doesn't look like someone who hasn't had a meal in 2 days. It doesn't look like, someone that is anorexic, or it doesn't even look like that. Someone who is obese could be malnourished because they are lacking vital nutrients for their body to be operating at the optimum level. And, someone can be, at their peak physically, but the problem is that their body is not receiving sufficient nutrients. And that's why then you start looking further into, if someone is a vegetarian, how then can you create a well-balanced and nutrient-dense diet for them if they are not having proteins? So then you start looking at how then can they get the source of proteins from other food sources. So that's when it was a kind of a aha, light bulb moment for me, when I realized that malnutrition has got nothing to do with your physical appearance. But once you start understanding physiologically how your body works, then you can start tying that in with your food preparations, your meal ideas, and how to make that more balanced and exciting. And then it works hand in hand with you being physically fit as well, and also being able to combat a lot of diseases and ailments as well. Because a lot of the things that we found is that people are suffering from a lot of lifestyle-induced diseases, which are reversible, which is the great thing, is that once you start looking at someone's diet and their lifestyle, then they can make so many good changes combating a lot of diseases such as your diabetes, your cholesterol, your high blood pressure, things that are caused just from bettering your health, your wellness, your nutrition, your fitness levels as well. If you are doing something just for the sake of doing it, then forget about it. Pick something else to do. You need to do something for purpose. You need to have a purpose behind everything that you do. You need to start taking purposeful steps for yourself, for your life, and for the end goal that you're trying to reach.
At home, we started experiencing changes in terms of the way we lived. The more access or interaction we had with the urban life, where you'd find somebody would go to the city, to town, and they would come back home with some KFC, chicken licken, and all those kind of stuff. Obviously, with a good intention, not to harm anyone. So, and I can say that the introduction of that lifestyle that caused a lot of change. in the family, because 10, 15 years down the line, my grandmother was diagnosed with diabetes, and we didn't understand what was diabetes at that point. And then after that, so my grandfather, diabetes type 2, and then it was my mother, and so and all these three people are the three people that I lost consecutively, and that had a huge impact on my life. So looking at the trend in terms of the similarities amongst their passing, one common thing that they had was diabetes, and if you do research, you will see that diabetes is due to a poor lifestyle in terms of lack of exercise, not watching what you eat, or not eating healthy. So encountering diabetes in such a way, and having such close contact with it, I then realized that us as human beings, everyone in general, is not paying attention as to how lethal diabetes can be, and how much diabetes is affecting our day-to-day life, how much innovation and exposure to these new and considered much better alternatives of food that we're consuming is how much of an impact it is having in our lives, and the impact was negative. At that point, by the time I lost my mother, I was also headed down a path where I was overweight, and once you're overweight, and then diabetes is right at the doorstep. Then I realized that I needed to change. So that was another reason that I needed to now change the way I was thinking and the way I was doing things, and the life I was living. Obviously, for health reasons now, like when we're talking diabetes and other cardiovascular issues that I was experiencing at that point. So I can say my family history played a huge role in me discovering General Njiniyela, or me seeing the need to have someone like General Njiniyela in my life, or for me to share the information that I had just experienced through my family members and myself, of course, and share the same information and knowledge with an intention to help improve somebody else's situation out there, and obviously bring people's attention to this important issue that we are all seemingly ignoring.
Semakuteni langisi tongo lamlatang buyele kaya siyantingi ngale samlatang buyele kaya madod buyele kaya siyantingi ngale samibe semakuteni langisi tongo lamibe semakuteni Ngiyawuza sobuya nina. Ngiyawuza.
When I was devising a system that I would use to share the information that I'd acquired from training using body weight and the method that I had formulated. One of the best forms of training that could benefit most people, not just one individual, it is group training. And why group training? Also, this is not something new. Group training has been around for a very long time. It's the same method that's used in sports. And obviously, being somebody that was involved in sports, I understood how far group training can go. Because in group training, it's a process of a group of individuals sharing their energy in one space and in one particular time with a common goal. And the common goal is to improve. So I decided to come up with group training where we use the system of you are as strong as your fastest. In the same sentence, you are as weak as your weakest. So with that being said, one of the systems that we use, we work according to the last person. So nobody stops training nobody stops training until the last person is done. So the last person to finish is the marker of the end of the workout. Because what then happens, for instance, if we're saying we're running laps and we're using time, and that's another thing that I tried to shift away from. Instead of using reps or repetition, I use time in order to gauge the exercise intervals. So within a certain time period, if we're running 400 meter laps or 200 meter laps, so obviously the fastest guy would cover the most distance in that stipulated amount of time, because he'll keep going until the last person is done. And the last person doesn't get demotivated by being left behind or thinking that, okay, I'm slowing everyone down, because everyone is continuously working. And we understand that not everyone, we don't all have the same bodies, we don't have the same body types and the same level of fitness. So even though I might be fitter than the next person, I'm still able to train with them by either being ahead of them or me using a different method or different technique to do the same training with them, obviously maybe at their pace. So that's the method that I came with and introduced, obviously using bodyweight training and running, and it seemed to work, because we now have a platform where we can come together and we have this common goal, but we're on different levels, and yet we get to train in the same space, doing the same type of training. So we feed off each other's energy. So if you see the next person next to you and they're still going, whereas you could be out of breath, then just that sign of acknowledgement that you're there, you exist, and we acknowledge your effort. It goes a long way in terms of motivating and inspiring the individual. And also, if it's an environment where we focused on actually doing these things efficiently and correctly, then it's an even better platform for one to share information and acquire information. The human body enthusiast just comes from me not wanting to, obviously when you're in fitness and if you're involved in a way that I am, most people view someone like me or as a fitness trainer, fitness influencer, or fitness enthusiast. Well, for me, it's different. I don't see myself as a personal trainer. I don't see myself as a fitness enthusiast. I don't see myself as a fitness fanatic, because it's not just about fitness for me. There's a bigger picture, and that's the human body. And I don't think on this earth, physically, there is nothing more important than the human's body. Because if without the human body, there's no life as we know it. That's why I resorted to referring myself as the human body enthusiast, because I'm more keen to understand the basic functioning of the human body, and obviously finding and innovating ways to maintain that normal state in the most natural way as possible, without the influence of processed substances or methods that go against the normal functioning or articulation of the human body. So everything that I do is centered around ensuring ultimate gain for the human body, and not just myself, but for every other human being that currently resides on planet Earth, and future generations that are going to reside on this planet. I mean, if you look at history, if you go back to the primal days, I mean, where they had less than what we have now, they were more reliant on their bodies than anything. Now we are reliant, some people are reliant on Wi-Fi, on the internet, some people are reliant on cars, which is technology, and we are less keen to be self-sufficient. So for me, being a human body enthusiast, I say I want to advocate and galvanize and motivate people to taking a keen interest in taking care of our bodies, not only by eating healthy, but ensuring that our movement is sufficient, that our bodies keep moving so that we can adapt to this environment that we are based in. Because that's what this environment requires from us. It requires us to move. So hence, I believe that one should train every day, because every day requires you to move. You cannot go through a day where, even if you're not feeling well, how you gauge you're not feeling well is because you are limited on movement. In terms of innovation and on taking care of the human body, we've come a long way in terms of health, in terms of the procedures that can be performed to correct certain difficulties or issues within the human body, and treating different illnesses that the body may encounter. I just feel like we are continuously going too far ahead and actually forgetting the starting point. And not only forgetting, but we're neglecting the starting point, which is maintaining the basic state or the natural state of a human body. I feel that instead of focusing on that end of the well-being of a human body, we should be focusing on this end, which is the beginning stage, the early stages where everything starts, where we encourage people to know about the human body and have interest in knowing what's its way and how it moves and what it does in terms of the human body. I feel like it should be part of basic education that every human being that lives on earth is educated on the basics, on the very basics that make up a fully functional human body. One of the things that I discovered when I was coming up with a system of when I was devising a system that I would use to share the information that I'd acquired from training using body weight and the method that I had formulated. One of the best forms of training that could benefit most people, not just one individual, it is group training. And why group training? Also, this is not something new. Group training has been around for a very long time. It's the same method that's used in sports. And obviously, being somebody that was involved in sports, I understood how far group training can go. Because in group training, it's a process of a group of individuals sharing their energy in one space and in one particular time with a common goal. And the common goal is to improve. So I decided to come up with group training where we use the system of you are as strong as your fastest. In the same sentence, you are as weak as your weakest. So with that being said, one of the systems that we use, we work according to the last person.
My name is Londi Ndiwe Plaza. I'm a sonographer staying in Durban. I started training because I was just sort of tired of being overweight and unfit, and I wasn't feeling good about myself and how I looked. And so I just decided enough.
Black, white, and color.
Besides the obvious, which is weight loss, I think the other thing is just you feel better about yourself, you feel better about the way you look. I think it's not only just physical benefits, it's mental stuff as well. Like you're more energized, make better decisions. Yeah. So yeah.
Foreplay, eu sou da forte, como vai a vida, senhorita? És só tu quero na minha vida. Tu és bonita, yeah.
Some of the mental benefits have been making better decisions. I feel whenever I'm on the road training, it's time to clear my head, just reflect, and that's something that I haven't actually ever taken time to do. So it's a huge benefit. I feel better about myself. When you feel better, you do better. So those are some of the things that I've sort of benefited outside of just physical stuff.
This is a song that you laugh to. It might be the song that you die to. Yeah, you know life with all its crisis. My calypso dancer got you a bandana, black, white.
The best advice would be to just start. Start small. It doesn't matter what you do, whether you just decide to walk or run, whatever you want to do, whether it's eating habits. The key is to start small. There's no quick fix. Nothing's gonna happen overnight, and I think my biggest lesson was just to be patient with myself. You don't get to the position I was in overnight, and you're not gonna get out of it overnight. It takes time. So I think the key to starting, the key to carrying on once you started, because some people stop once they start seeing benefits. They think, okay, now I can stop. It's a full-time commitment, and it requires you to prioritize yourself, irrespective of what's happening in life.
Going forward, I plan to share more information, or not only share information, but to highlight some of the information that I've shared through my journey to this point. I plan to share more and obviously create a bigger platform for people to access this information and actually be part of this community that I would like to be part of, or this community that I'd like to inspire, a community that represents self-care, a community that prioritizes primary health care, a community that prioritizes the human body. Those are the plans for General Njiniyela. And everything that General does or is involved in is intended to enhance the importance of the human body and the importance of primary health care and the importance of self-care. So General Njiniyela is here to stay for all the underdogs, for all the people that need to find themselves, that haven't found themselves, or people that are at a point where they don't know where to start in terms of dealing with the issues that they are facing, be it socially, mentally, physically. General Njiniyela is about life. If there's any advice that I can share with people out there, that people that may be in a similar position as I was, or people that are less informed on issues of self-care or primary health care, I'd say really just sit down and think what's more important than yourself. If there is something that's more important than yourself, then that's where your problem starts. Because I don't believe that anything should be more of importance to you than yourself. Because you are all you have. At the end of the day, everyone might possibly turn away. The only thing that you're left with is yourself. So you have to become a priority to yourself. And you have to remain a priority to yourself. And anything that follows on that priority list, they are sure to benefit through you prioritizing yourself and putting yourself first. I know we live in a community where if you are prioritizing yourself and people will say you are selfish, well, I say let's be selfish and actually prioritize ourselves. If that's what it takes in order for anyone to prioritize themselves, so be it. Because you are of no good to anyone if you don't matter to yourself. And let's face it, in life, when you're interacting with people, there is disappointment, and you have to be ready for that. You have to prepare yourself for that. So that when that happens, you understand that it's not the other person that's a priority. It is you who matters the most to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your well-being. Mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, you are entirely responsible for your well-being. So if you don't prioritize yourself, and then you face a problem that's suddenly too big for you to deal with, then you should blame yourself because you did not prioritize yourself. If you put yourself first and you prioritize yourself, you take care of yourself first, there's less chances of you encountering a situation that is too big for you to handle. That is how I've gotten to a point where I am. Because everything that I've acquired, or everything that I'm doing, I've taught myself. It's that much important. If anything, some of the information that's been shared in this documentary, you have queries about it, you can go and research about it. This is just an eye-opener. This is just to say, hello, wake up. There's something like this going on around you. And obviously the decision lies with you as to what you do with this information. And hence, we've shot this documentary out of our own pocket, purely because we want to share the message, not because we have intentions of wanting to be seen. I mean, I'd not go on camera and say all these things just to get attention, but it's purely to reach out to a listening ear and open mind out there that's worried about the future, that cares about the future. And not only the future that's there or possibly there for us, but the future that's there for generations that are yet to come, that are not even present on this planet as yet.
Sanibona sanibulani Musalubu mziba sanibulani Indele nyathuko phumulani Dlala nethezeke nxoxelani Nyanya sakwazulu ihlelilani Kuthini ngoba nikhumbulani Bayede nkonyale kandaba Simaviyo viyo thila mahlangala Bayede nyakusaba wengonyama Naba bantu bakho beqedana Yehle sithongo lokubumbana Yehle sithongo lokutalana Sanga njengebutho likabhambata Sonde kade khona sekandani Thokoza thokoza thongolani Thokoza thokoza thongolani Ikusasa lifiphele ngempela Awunakho ngibolo bumnyama Qonqoza qonqoza kusasalani Qonqoza qonqoza kusasalani Bona isukulwane lesithukileyo Bona isukulwane lesithukileyo